I know I will need every one of these lessons, and I'm looking forward to not only studying them for myself, but sharing with you what God's Word says on the subject.
Parenting isn't about us. In fact, parenting isn't even about our kids. Parenting is just one way Christian dads and moms are to worship God. So welcome to the Truth.Love.Parent podcast, where we train dads and moms to give God the preeminence in their parenting.
All right, welcome back. This is our 599th episode. That means that next week we'll hit our 600th episode at the start of our 33rd season and our 9th year of equipping dads and moms to glorify God with their parenting. Quite often we'll dedicate a whole season to mining a single theme. We'll do a series on a topic and really take the time to understand it all. And sometimes we'll hit a bunch of topics. Well, just like this last season, we're going to cover a lot of ground this upcoming season. So let's get excited about the lessons God is going to teach each of us. We're going to talk about emotional blackmail, what it is and how to respond to it biblically. Spouses do it, kids do it, other people do it. This one should be pretty helpful and a good way to start off. We're going to discuss the reality that what our kids do and say and feel really is a much bigger deal than we realize. So many people make excuses for their kids' behavior or shrug it off because of their ages. But the fruit of our lives is so important, and I think we need to be reminded of that and recognize the implications. We're going to learn how to teach our kids to flee. We're going to unpack the doctrine of fleeing in order to teach our kids when it's appropriate and how to do it, but we're also going to talk about when it's not appropriate to flee from something, either physically or metaphorically. Then we're going to consider the first world trend of how your kids get their answers. When they have questions, to whom do they go? How can we teach our kids to seek out the right sources? Einstein made the observation that intelligence isn't necessarily having the answers, but knowing where to find them. And I fear too many people in the church aren't acting very intelligently when they seek out their answers, and neither are our kids. I also want to touch on the phenomenon that how you describe your kids determines how you parent them. We all like to think that how we parent our kids leads to them becoming who they are and subsequently how we describe them to others. But that is quite often not the actual progression of things. Have you ever had your kids try to pit your spouse against you or vice versa? Well, we're going to have an episode called Stop Your Kids from Pitting You Against Your Spouse. I'll let you figure out what that one's about. After that, we're going to deal with the fact that we can too often be superficial in our parenting. There's an issue, we address it, and though the process of addressing the main issue so often reveals many more things, and sometimes reveals far weightier and more important issues, we're content with just addressing the superficial one, and then we just kind of leave it there. This is bad parenting. We need to learn to see the deeper issues that get dredged up as we biblically parent our kids. Then we're going to do a thought experiment concerning your home. We're going to change one thing about your family and then talk about how that one change will affect the entire home, or at least how it might affect the entire home. On our next episode, we're going to revisit a comment I made long ago that, quote-unquote, change demands death. And we're going to consider the biblical truths and implications of that necessity in our families. Many of our episodes have had the theme of how to be a bad parent. We've talked about parenting like Jonah, teaching our kids to rebel, taking God's jobs, and parenting like Satan. And this season, we're going to discuss equipping our children to shame us. Of course, nobody wants that, and we all think we're parenting in a way that will have a very different result, but that doesn't mean we're right. Nearly every person who was ashamed of their kids never thought their parenting had anything to do with it. And though the child is ultimately responsible for their actions, that doesn't change the fact that many of our unbiblical parenting techniques actually equip them to shame us better than they would have on their own. Then we'll talk about how good parents eat the Bible. We'll consider the biblical metaphor and apply it to our lives and parenting. And our last episode is going to be how to biblically help your children find a spouse. Whether your kids are younger or older, there are things we really need to be doing now if we want our kids to find a husband or wife who is going to glorify the Lord. I know I will need every one of these lessons, and I'm looking forward to not only studying them for myself, but sharing with you what God's Word says on the subjects. Please share this episode so that your friends and family can get excited about Season 33, And please email us at counselor@truth.Love.Parent.com or leave a voicemail at 828-423-0894 if we can serve your family with biblical counseling. And I'll see you on our next episode where we discuss emotional blackmail.
Truth.Love.Parent is part of the Evermind Ministries family and is dedicated to helping you worship God through your parenting. So join us next time as we study God's Word to learn how to parent our children for life and godliness. And remember that TLP is a listener-supported ministry. You can visit truth.loveparent.com/donate to learn more.